thank you to everyone who stayed off the roads. I want to say, where we are halfway through that 48 mark, it looks pretty good. I am enormously grateful to the work that our teams have been out here doing. The unified command structure that we set up as the result of the executive order at the end of last year has been enormously helpful in the last 48, actually I would say 4 days, 4 to 5 days, as we've been not only preparing but really getting through this massive weather event. I want to turn it over now to Director of Operations Ben Johnson to talk a little bit about where we are with regards to the road clearage. Ben?
Yep. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. As the Mayor mentioned, several days ago now, midweek, actually last week, we activated the Winter Weather Unified Command for anticipation of precipitation and snow this weekend. So we began those calls. They're convened by the new commissioner of the city's emergency management agency, Greg Favor, and then it brings together department leadership from across city government, but also St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department and several other stakeholders across the city. That body's been meeting now twice daily to examine exactly what the situation is, what the threats are to public safety, and make sure we're addressing them comprehensively as a city government. So it's been a lot of work by a lot of this city's leadership over the last several days, and we're really proud of that effort. A huge focus of that, of course, was this historic snowfall combined with the extreme cold temperatures. So when we asked the National Weather Service, who I should have mentioned is a core member of that Winter Weather Unified Command, providing those daily briefings to us, they're our St. Louis team, they're tailored to our exact environment here. They noted that those wind chills that were down below minus 20 early this morning, combined with over 8 inches of snow, that we haven't had that combination since 1982. So a real rare combination of heavy snowfall and severe cold, which has made it a real challenging operation for our city. But as the mayor said, we're enormously proud of the way in which our streets department and all of our city departments, but notably for the snow operation, the leadership of our streets department and preparing with the pre-treatment that we did, and then ultimately deploying those 50 units that we have, and then getting ready for some contingency contracts as well, to bring those on as early as we could when we thought the snow was going to abate and we could start really going into that meaningful cleanup without snow immediately coming in behind it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Director Jackson to talk about how that went, specifically the last 24 hours, and what the next 12 and 24 hours look like. Director Jackson.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. As the mayor and the colonel have shared with you, we're in full deployment now. We have over almost 97 units that are out there with our contract units and our full deployment of our internal units from the streets department, from parks, and from forestry. Right now, the teams are primarily working in our primaries, our secondaries, and our hill routes, making sure that we have all of those cleaned up so that we can get into the residentials. Some of the hill routes, however, do contain residential streets in them. So you will see that many of our contract units have already gone into the residentials. And in some instances, they've cleared from curb to curb in spite of the weather not cooperating with us. They're not going to get to bare pavement right now. We're hopeful that Mother Nature will continue to stay with us at least until about 5 or 6 o'clock this evening so that we can try to get to bare pavement. But that's our target, is to try to get to bare pavement on the primaries, secondaries, and the hill routes, while we're still working in the residential areas to make sure that the residents can get out and take care of their urgent business. Again, we're urging that if you don't need to come out, please don't. That gives us an opportunity to continue to clean up as we are right now. We have our command center staff inside taking calls so that we can redirect our personnel through our QA/QC teams to those areas of need. We're doing that presently and working to try to make sure that we get our target areas taken care of so that we can get this cleanup done. As the colonel suggested, the first 24 hours, we want to get that under our belts, and then we've got another 24 hours to clean up. Our promise to the city is that within 24 to 48 hours, we will have the city back open. That's what we're working to do.
Yeah, I'll also introduce our commissioner of our equipment services division, Josh Kamich. He has done an incredible job of keeping these trucks on the roads. We, for the first 2 days, had 100% of our vehicles that his mechanics who are working in that shop right back there. These trucks they're working hard. They take a beating on our roads, and they're able to make some immediate repairs and get them back on the road as we do our shift changes as well. So, any immediate numbers or anything you'd like to report, Josh?
Yeah,
Come on up here.
absolutely, yeah. Hi, everybody. We currently are servicing 58 tandem trucks, 6 light dump trucks, 5 brine trucks, 12 supervisor trucks, 4 from forestry, 2 forestry utility tractors that service sidewalks, and 15 parks plow trucks. Most of those are up currently. We're seeing about 47 tandem trucks up, and the rest of the fleet is in good shape. We also service 3 fueling sites, and we really couldn't do it without our mechanics. We've been running 12-hour shifts, 9 to 9. Just a small crew, 1 foreman and 7 mechanics. And that's all I have for the group this morning. Thank you.
I'll say they've been here all weekend long, working really hard. I mean, to have that record of some of our trucks, some of our fleet are fairly older, and keeping those running, it's a big feat. Thank you so much. I'll also just quickly say on the subject of the unhoused and some of our most vulnerable, we've been operating our shelter space, of course, the expanded shelter space, a little over 700 additional beds on top of the 400, well over 1,000 beds available. We're operating at about 90% capacity right now. We've had those transportation options, which have been enormously successful, so well run. We've had some challenges making sure that while we're keeping those shelter spaces open, not only at nighttime, we're keeping them open during the day so folks don't have to leave and go out into the elements in this extreme cold. We've been navigating some challenges. I'm really, really grateful to our health department stepping in, identifying some issues with communicable diseases and making sure that we're addressing those to keep our folks in those most vulnerable situations as safe as possible throughout this cold weather event. Okay. Any other, I'm enormously proud of this work. As you can see, many of the roads are down to pavement, just a huge feat. We're feeling very, very grateful for the city staff and those contractors who were able to come on board to get us up and moving today.
Just to clarify on the timeline, you're looking to get the pavement on the mains, the hills, and the residentials in 24 to 48?
The residentials are going to be tough. I mean, really where we are, those mains, the secondaries, and the hills within 48 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
But we are getting into the residentials. Look, our plows have to have a clearance, so we are not able to scrape down to pavement. There still has to be an inch or so that allows for you to hit bumps, those plates in the road. It can be wildly dangerous to hit something that can arrest the vehicle, and so there naturally has to be a bit of a gap there. There will be residual snow, and so there has to be an application of an agent. We're using salt right now. And of course, the sun is helping out a lot to melt those and get down to pavement. But there's things that have to work in our favor to get down there.
Are you guys using salt today because the sun is out? And okay, so you're using the sun as
Yeah, Director Jackson, you
Yes,
want to speak
ma'am.
on that?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know yesterday was just so cold to use.
Yes,
salt.
we are, and we tried to use it yesterday. However, the temperatures did not work well with us. The salt actually started freezing in our dumps. So, and that just didn't happen here, folks. It happened all over. Wherever the temperatures dropped below freezing, the agent just was not coming out of the vehicles. This morning, we think we've gotten some relief. We're getting the agent out. Our focus is on making sure we get as much out as we can, and we're going to continue to salt up until about 5 p.m. this evening, because what we don't want to have happen is we don't want to have this agent out creating liquid that turns into ice after 7, 8, 9 p.m.
Director Jackson, one of the things that you see in the city is those arterial or secondary routes get plowed, but it creates almost a buildup as you hit those residential streets on the sides, and that's where cars are getting stuck. Can you
Yes, ma'am.
walk through what kind of the protocol is when people have to make those turns, but there is seemingly more snow there from when crews are plowing?
Yes, ma'am. And that's one of the reasons why we attempted to incorporate the residentials as we are doing our clearing. With this amount of snow, we want to open up, and as I shared in previous conversations, we want to break open those windrows so that there is access into and out of the residentials. So we're very mindful that that type situation can be created, and we'll be looking at that as we go into the residentials.
Mayor, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing the warm-up bus down to the tent encampment on 10th and Cass. You've got it there for 4 hours. Any thoughts to keeping it down there longer than 4 hours?
Well, and Elliot, just to be clear, we've had warming buses throughout this event. They're not stationary. They're transporting folks, and so those warming buses have been out throughout the time when we've had those code blue activations. They're just not stationary. We're really encouraging folks to take the safest option, which is sheltering inside a building, and we've got shelter space available. That warming bus down there is really to kind of get on the front end when the temperatures go down, to be at the very front end of the evening time, and so we can get folks out, get folks warmed up before they go to sleep at night. Usually, you can kind of hunker down into that sort of scenario. We're really grateful to our partnerships who've been able to help us triage that and make sure that we have some of those stationary warming buses as well.
Any thoughts of leaving it longer? We appreciate you bringing it out there at all. Any thoughts of leaving it out there longer?
Sure. We'll continue to navigate this event. If there's we've had some challenges there, quite frankly. There's been some challenges with the warming bus, the stationary component of it. The safety and security of the folks involved there is very important. And so we're continuing to monitor that.
Thank you.
Mayor or Director Jackson, whoever would be better to answer this, but you described on Friday doing residential routes for the first time ever as a bit of a learning process. Just through the first couple days, what have you guys learned so far?
Yes. Well, we've been very fortunate because we had the resources that we had and we had the presence of mind to go ahead and call in contractors. It's been almost a seamless effort. In the instance when we shared that we were going to go into residentials, with the idea being the first thing we were going to do was a center lane, and then on those residentials that were more similar to connectors, we're going to try to go pave curb to curb where we could. We're seeing a lot of that this morning. When we went out and observed, we saw that where we could, we were getting the center lanes open so that the residents could get out. We were addressing those windrows to ensure that they could get out of their residential areas onto the main thoroughfares. And right now, as we move into what we are going to call the back end of our first phase, which is primaries, secondaries, and arterials, we will be paying more attention to the residentials.
Can you talk about the calls that have come in for the QA/QC team? I know you mentioned you've gotten so many so far. Can you talk about how many you've gotten and what the majority of those calls tend to be?
Well, we are still pulling those numbers together. That's a very active activity that's going on. So when they're coming in, we're actually sending them out. Our QA/QC team is also coordinating directly with our snow coordinator so that information goes directly to him and he can redirect plows and operators to where we need to. So that I don't have a static number for you on that right now, but as they're coming in, we're getting them back out to where they need to go.
Do you have a general number? Are we talking tens? Are we talking hundreds?
Well, we're not talking hundreds. Fortunately, I think the majority of the population has heard the message. They're listening to the message. So they're seeing that we're actually in those areas and they're being very compliant.
Mayor, with this bitter cold weather, are there any emergency steps being taken for tornado survivors who may still be out of their homes or in their homes with no heat? Any emergency steps you're taking with this bitter cold?
Yes, of course, quite a bit. For weeks, months now, we've been getting folks into temporary housing, whether it looks like we've got housing vouchers, we've got some folks still in some of those hotel vouchers that we stood up. We know we've had folks in experiencing emergencies. A big shout out to our fire department who worked really hard just the other day to get an older gentleman out of his tornado impacted home and into the home of a neighbor who's taken him in. So we are trying to keep close monitoring of that. We've contacted every victim of the tornado for whom we have contact to try to get them into one of those programs. But again, we've expanded the shelter space. We have those other programs. Just the other night at our town hall, we took in dozens and dozens of requests from tornado impacted families and households to try to get them into some of those programs. So we're working to get that done.
I'm sorry. What do you tell them if there are tornado victims listening now?
No, please,
What would you tell
if
them
you haven't
to
already
do?
applied to our service into our programs, please do. We are really working to try to get folks engaged where we can in those programs. We've allocated those funds, and we're trying to activate them as quickly as possible.
Mayor, can you
Yes.
talk a little bit more about the contractors and that relationship, and how is the city funding it? Is it through a certain fund, or a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I can let Director Jackson take some of that on the contractors.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Based on what you experienced last year, there was a considerable amount of thought put into that as a potential this year. There are funds that are available to us to actually ensure that we can get this taken care of. But on the front end, what we're doing is we're managing how we actually utilize the contractors, when we actually deploy them, how long they're going to be out there, so we know how much money we're spending. And we've got a trigger to tell us when we or where we think that we've gotten everything done that we need to get done so that we can pull them back.
I'll just add, we worked with our budget department through this. We still have quite a bit of vacancy in our street department. There's a little bit of wiggle room in the budget there. Every dollar we're spending on the contractors means that we're saving a little bit too on the overtime, and we're getting the roads open faster. So there's a balance there, and working with our budget department's been a key to making sure we're staying within those frameworks.
As you've driven around, are you happy with what you're seeing?
I am. I can tell you, just having been, down here and seeing the work that the mechanics are doing, the road crews, everybody. I mean, it has been all hands on deck. I am very confident. I feel very good that the city has done everything we can to really show up and get these roads opened up for our community. We know that we still have a lot more work to do, and we're going to continue to do that. But just being present, those command calls, I can't tell you a level of coordination across not only our city departments. We've pulled in our external partners, Ameren, we've pulled in MoDOT. We are all beating the same drum. We're triaging issues as we know about them, and that coordinated approach has really enabled us to step up our game in a way that I feel phenomenal about.
Mayor, care to hazard a grade at this point?
No, I'm not going to do that. But I'll say that we are putting in all effort that we possibly can, and I'm encouraged by the work that we're all doing.
Incomplete then.
No, work in progress, and it's a great work in progress, and I'm enormously proud of the work that the team is doing. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mayor.
You know what? I will, but Austin, to that point, I'd be curious about your grade for the effort so far.
You'll see it tomorrow morning.
All right.
Is there going to be any
Yeah,
more
sure.
salt for residents to get in the future?
What was the question?
Is there going to be any more of those salt pickups for residents?
Yeah, I'll speak to that just briefly. This was a good faith effort on the part of the city to provide salt really across our communities. We had 5 different locations where you could come pick it up. It went fast, so we refilled it Saturday morning. That was available Friday. Went within a few hours. When we reloaded it on Saturday morning, it was gone in 30 minutes. In many cases, it was the residents who maybe wouldn't have had access otherwise who were able to access it. We're really grateful for that. But we also had some instances of, a commercial truck pulling up and filling up with salt, which is obviously not the intent. So we're going to make some tweaks to that. It was a pilot program. So not in this snowstorm will you see more salt coming out, but before future events. I did want to just make one public ask to the community. This is a really difficult set of circumstances to manage, both the amount of snow and the cold that we have right now. We're going to continue to have this week, and we really want to be able to maximize this next 24 hours to get things as cleaned up as possible. So the more people can stay off the streets, let the sun, the salt, and our crews do the work that we need them to do, the better off we're going to be the rest of the week to prevent a lot of that ice from setting in. So thank you for getting the word out on that.
Thank you. So while it's not often that we get this much snow, how are the bump outs affecting you on, say, Natural Bridge and Shoto and areas that we put them on? How are they affecting the tow trucks? Are they doing damage to them because you can't see them?
Well, that's one of the areas that we pay attention to in our streets, and one of the reasons why we do dry runs at the beginning of every season, so that we know where those areas are, so that we can actually plow around them. In the instances where we can, we actually put markers out so we know where they are, and then we guide according to those.
All right, all good. One last for me. Are the schools part of the Unified Command at all? I realize it's different. It's not your call to make, but Are you concerned about the temperatures with students waiting at buses and?
Yeah,
and
you know,
walking to
they
school?
haven't been because they're not a provider of services with us on this front. But you know, they call St. Louis Public Schools called off school today. The school system is one that's really fractionated at this point, and so really to pull in them into that working group might be tough. But certainly we have got a good working relationship with our education providers, and as they look, we're working on making sure that we are opening up the roads for them. What we have done is pulled the schools into our snow routes and making sure that we can get those roads cleared for kids to get in and out of schools, and of course their staff. So I can tell you, my son is hoping that they have another snow day tomorrow, but with any luck, we'll get these roads up and running.
Thank you.
Thank you.